it, we can't survive. Looking after this precious resource will perhaps be the defining issue of the 21st century.
The engine. Now trying to restart. Most people have heard of an impending or even existing global water crisis. However, it wasn't until recently that I became aware just how severe the potential crisis was. Some of the statistics are mind-boggling. In 2030, 47% of world population will be living in areas of high water stress. 11% of global population, or 783 million people, are still without access to water. Every 20 seconds, a child dies as a result of poor sanitation. In the developing countries, 70% of industrial wastes are dumped untreated into waters, where they pollute the usable water supply. Obviously, the topic of the whole water crisis is huge. So to start my Bangkok to Birmingham journey, I decided to investigate one particular issue in Bangkok, that of water pollution. As has become clear to me over the past few weeks, Bangkok is by no means alone in having water pollution problems, particularly in Southeast Asia and China, where I've subsequently travelled. But by focusing on the issue in Bangkok specifically, I aim to highlight how the much broader topic of water pollution in the developing world manifests itself in one particular city. There are a number of potential issues to investigate for the first leg of my trip, but I wanted to choose something which resonated with me personally from the 7 months spent living in Bangkok a few years ago. Two of my most vivid memories from that time were the suffocating fumes from the jammed traffic when sitting on the back of a motorbike taxi, and the terrible stench coming from walking next to many of the city's canals. Two things which would really blight the experience of anyone travelling to this otherwise fantastic city which I've come to love. Obviously, air pollution and associated traffic congestion would have been a very worthy cause to investigate, but the more background reading I did about water, the more it seemed to make sense to pick as a topic here. Water is key to the Thai way of life and etched into the culture. Traditionally, rural Thais have grown up very much in harmony with water, living along the riverbanks, using the water for agriculture, particularly rice, transport, drinking, cooking and playing. I was told of crystal clear waters in the Utian times, bustling with crocodiles and dolphins. Any traveller familiar with Southeast Asia even now can't fail to have noticed the postcard images of kids and adults bathing, fishing and playing in the rivers. Historically, Bangkok has been absolutely no exception to this. Built on the banks of the Chao Phraya and with a vast network of over 1,000 supported klongs, which are canals, the city has grown up around water. Stilted houses have long lined the main river, and the klong network has become home to a vast array of human life. Historically, the klongs have served important transportation nodes around the city, earning Bangkok the nickname the Venice of the East in the 19th century. Now it's estimated that around 1 million people in the city live in waterfront communities. That's around 5 times the total population of Venice. Water is also revered and celebrated in two of Thailand's most prominent festivals. Most have probably heard of Songkran, or Thai New Year, which involves a big water fight each April. The belief is that the water washes away the sins. Less well known to tourists is that of Loi Krathong, usually held in November, where floats are put onto water as a means of offering thanks to the Thai goddess Phra Maya Kong Ta. All this makes it even more puzzling that a quick Google of environmental problems Thailand will soon take you to the Wikipedia page claiming that the most critical environmental problem that Thailand is facing presently is water pollution. As Plai Pirom from Greenpeace explained to me, it starts with the fact that water is already a scarce commodity in Thailand. Added to that, you have increasing demand brought about by the industrial and agricultural sector. Throw in a bit of climate change and you already have a difficult situation. Or the relatively little water which is left. If this is then unusable because of water pollution, then a difficult situation becomes a big problem. Indeed, in 2009, Greenpeace reported that 92.6% of the total area in Thailand is at risk from water pollution. Due to a mixture of industrial, agriculture and residential pollution, Much of the water in Bangkok and the wider Chao Phraya River basin, which supports over 13 million people, has been classified as deteriorated by the UN. Given this background, the Thai association with water, and the timing of my study coinciding with World Water Day, water pollution became the standout topic to investigate. It's all very well labelling water as deteriorated. But what does this actually mean in reality? The immediate consequences are easy to spot. Anyone who's been to Bangkok can't fail to notice the stench and appearance of the klongs such as this, which thread through the city. You can smell them long before you can see them. Physical garbage in the form of plastic bags, Coke cans and polystyrene line the side of the klongs underneath the houses and float freely in the water. Not only is the rubbish an eyesore, but the practical consequences of this for potential transportation couldn't have been demonstrated more clearly to me during the boat ride in which I was shown the Hua Kwang klongs by Tum, the community leader. All was going smoothly until a few minutes in when this happened. So they've just had to stop to clean out the garbage from the engine. Now trying to restart. We had to end our boat ride there and then. Unsurprisingly for those in the Klong communities, the obvious filth had meant that people's traditional harmonious relationship with water had to be altered. People no longer wanted to swim, shower or cook with the polluted water. Here's the chairman of Hua Kwang Residence Community explaining in his own words.
In the old time there's no water supply, so they use this canal as their life, for swimming, for bathing, for cooking and everything. They take water from the canals, put in the jar and stir by
And now can you use the water at all?
No.
I later learned that 80% of the city's sewerage enters the klongs and river directly. Digesting this type of water would be an obvious cause for all manner of illness, most notably diarrhea, which according to the UN is globally the leading cause of illness and death. Although many of the klongs are undoubtedly physically filthy, it's not such a grim physical story in the Chao Phraya itself. River taxis plough freely up and down, ferrying commuters and tourists alike. The smell was also nothing particularly offensive. Okay, there's a bit of garbage floating about, quite a lot of invasive water hyacinths to be seen, and a few dead fish. But it's not as bad as it could be, and better than I remembered 9 years ago. Interestingly, Stan from the Three Barges project spoke of Indonesian school kids they had taken on the Chao Phraya, who had actually remarked on how the river was physically much cleaner than the rivers they saw back home. Further, she explained that their own studies had revealed an increase in invertebrate residing in the river over the past few years. In terms of drinking water, it's also not necessarily an unmitigated horror story. As one drunken expat told me, upon informing him I was investigating water pollution in Bangkok, "It's a good news story, isn't it? The water here is fucking brilliant. Make sure that goes into your article." Perhaps he'd seen a recent publicity campaign by Bangkok's Metropolitan Waterworks Authority, where they entered samples from Bangkok's main water supply into the oldest, biggest water tasting competition in the world. It has long now been claimed by the Waterworks Authority that tap water in Bangkok exceeds World Health Organization standards for drinking water. Where problems have occurred, it's been found mainly due to the state of the pipework rather than the state of the water once it had left the treatment centre. Indeed, there was a general consensus that Bangkok's two main water treatment facilities were doing a fine job. Still, I was concerned that access to decent tap water may not be evenly distributed across the city, i.e. it would be fine for swanky expat condos, less so for slum communities. However, Ply from Greenpeace informed me that nowadays access to tap water was not really an issue anymore. WHO stats back this up, showing 85% of Thai urban areas being connected to tap water supplies. In this respect, Bangkok is at a relatively advantaged position relative to other provinces and rural areas in Thailand, and much of the developing world in general. Only 16% of rural areas in Thailand have access to tap water according to WHO.